Ethan Carter slammed his backpack onto the cafeteria table, sending a stack of notebooks sliding across the floor. His group members froze, staring at him like he'd just lost his mind. "Why would you even suggest that?" he snapped, his voice sharp, cutting through the low hum of lunchtime chatter. "It completely ruins the project." Jake Reynolds, his best friend and partner on the science project, flinched. I just thought it might." "Thought it might what? Make you look smart?" Ethan barked. His chest heaved. The heat in his face felt like it might burn right through his skull. He didn't know why he reacted like this every time something didn't go exactly the way he wanted. It wasn't just frustration, this was rage. Sudden and intense, like a storm breaking over calm waters. By the time the bell rang, the once promising project was in chaos, and Ethan was alone at the table, breathing heavily, staring at the spilled papers and scattered pencils. His classmates avoided him as they filed out, whispers trailing behind like smoke. "Why can't I just control it?" he thought. He didn't know. He only knew the familiar tightness in his chest and the sinking feeling of shame that always followed. When he got home, the tension in the house hit him like a wave before he even opened the door. His mother, Sarah Carter, was sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, a stack of school notices in front of her. "Ethan," she said carefully, her voice calm but firm, "I need to talk to you about today. Jake came home upset, and your teacher called. This isn't the first time this has happened." Ethan's first instinct was to argue, to defend himself. "They don't get it. I just want everything to be right. Okay? If people can't follow the plan, it's not my fault." He slammed the door to his bedroom a little harder than necessary, pacing back and forth. Sarah sighed, pressing a hand to her forehead. "Ethan, this isn't about being perfect. It's about how you treat people. Your anger is hurting Jake, your friends, and even yourself. If this keeps happening, you'll push everyone away." Ethan stopped mid-step. Her words cut deeper than any lecture ever could. Not because he was afraid of punishment, but because he saw truth in them. He had wanted to be the best, to excel, to make everything perfect, but in doing so, he was destroying the very relationships he cared about most. That night, Ethan lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Shadows of trees danced across the walls as the wind rattled the window. He replayed every word, every moment from the cafeteria, from his room, from the argument with his mother. Every time he thought he had a handle on his emotions, they slipped away like water through his fingers. He wanted to change, but he had no idea how. He felt trapped inside himself. The next morning, unable to face the pressure at home or the tension at school, Ethan wandered aimlessly down the quiet streets of his neighborhood. He didn't have a plan, he just needed to move, to breathe, to escape the noise in his head. He ended up at a small cafe tucked between a bookstore and a florist. A place he'd walked past hundreds of times but never entered. He pushed open the door, the bell jingling softly, and took a seat near the window. As he fidgeted with his cup of hot chocolate, trying to scroll through his phone without thinking, a voice broke through the haze. "You always move like that?" Ethan looked up. At the next table sat an older man, perhaps in his mid-60s, silver hair neatly combed, sitting upright with a calm presence that made it seem as if the world had slowed down around him. In front of him was a worn book filled with Japanese characters. His eyes, sharp but gentle, studied Ethan with quiet curiosity. What do you mean?" Ethan asked, blinking. "Your hands, your eyes, your breath, they're all racing. As if you're trying to be in 3 places at once. You're running, always running." Ethan felt his chest tighten. There was no judgment in the man's tone, just an observation. And somehow it cut deeper than any criticism he'd ever received. "Yes, I think you're right," Ethan admitted, almost whispering. The man smiled. "I'm Mr. Takeda, and I can tell you why you can't stop reacting the way you do. Would you like to learn?" Ethan hesitated. A complete stranger offering advice? It should have felt strange, but something about the calm certainty in Takeda's eyes made him nod. "Yes, I want to learn." Takeda closed his book, his fingers resting gently on the cover. "Your mind is too full. You're trying to control everything, but there is no room to choose. You are reacting because there is no space for control. I can show you a way to respond instead of reacting. Follow me tomorrow morning, and I'll teach you." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. For the first time in months, maybe years, he felt a flicker of hope, a possibility that he could change. That he could finally learn to master himself instead of letting anger master him. The next morning, Ethan hesitated at the small wooden door tucked between the bookstore and cafe. The sign above simply read, Takeda Dojo. His stomach churned with nerves and anticipation. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside. The air smelled faintly of cedar and incense, carrying a calm that seemed to seep into his bones. Mr. Takeda was already there, standing in the center of the room, his posture perfect and steady. A single candle flickered on a low altar, casting soft, dancing shadows across the walls. Sit, Takeda instructed. Ethan lowered himself onto the polished wooden floor, legs stiff and knees sore. Close your eyes. Breathe, Takeda said. The command was calm, almost hypnotic. Ethan obeyed, but his mind immediately started racing. What if I fail? What if I can't do this? What if I get frustrated again? Thoughts collided in a storm, refusing to settle. Takeda's voice cut through the chaos. Observe. Do not chase them. Do not fight them. Let them pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. Ethan tried. 5 minutes passed. 10. His thoughts pulled at him relentlessly. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, a quiet space opened in his mind. Just for a few seconds. There was silence. No judgment. No panic. Just awareness. This is Mushin, Takeda said softly. Empty mind. In this space, there is no anger, no fear, no impulse, only clarity. The samurai trained daily to find this space. Because in battle, hesitation can kill you. In life, it can destroy relationships. Ethan swallowed, trying to imagine his anger as something he could observe rather than react to. He pictured the cafeteria incident, the way he had snapped at Jake, the humiliation and isolation he felt afterward. And for the first time, he saw it from the outside, as if watching a scene in a movie. Takeda then stood and picked up a shinai, a bamboo practice sword. Now comes Ma, the sacred interval. I will strike, but your job is not to block. Feel the space between my movement and your response. That is where true choice exists. Ethan's eyes widened. He had never held a sword before. The thought of sparring terrified him. It does not matter if you know nothing, Takeda said, noticing Ethan's hesitation. It is not the sword that matters. It is awareness, timing, and intention. Watch carefully, feel the movement, and then choose when to act. Takeda raised the shinai slowly, his movements deliberate and precise. Ethan's instinct screamed to react immediately, to raise his own sword and defend himself. But Takeda stopped him. Reaction is automatic. I want conscious choice. They practiced again and again. Strike after strike. Ethan learned to pause, to sense, to wait. The difference was subtle at first. His muscles tensed, then relaxed. His breath slowed. Then came the moment. A strike approached. And instead of moving too soon, Ethan felt the gap, the tiny space between the swing and his response. He moved deliberately, perfectly timed. Better, Takeda said. Do you feel it? Ethan nodded. It's different. I chose it. Yes. In life, most of your anger comes from reacting without space. You explode because you never pause. Ma is the pause, the interval where choice exists. One breath can change everything. The next lesson was subtler, yet perhaps the most profound. Takeda led Ethan to a shelf and pointed to a cracked vase. Repaired with gold. This is Wabishabi. See the cracks? They are beautiful because they remind us that perfection is an illusion. Life is imperfect. People are imperfect. Accept this, and your energy is no longer wasted on fighting reality. Instead, you use it on what truly matters. Ethan stared at the vase, and slowly, a thought clicked in his mind. He realized that his anger didn't come from mistakes, from accidents, or even from people. It came from his expectation that everything and everyone should meet his standards. That expectation was the chain he had been carrying. The first week was grueling. Each morning, Ethan practiced 15 minutes of Mushin, sitting in silence, observing the relentless flood of thoughts. At school, he applied Ma in every conversation, every interaction, pausing before reacting. At home, he worked on Wabishabi, accepting his mother's frustration, his sister's teasing, even his own mistakes. The results were small but significant. On the third day, a teammate presented a flawed experiment result. Ethan felt the familiar surge of anger rise like molten lava. He clenched his fists. Then he remembered Ma. He breathed deeply. He visualized Wabishabi, imagining the imperfection as something natural, not offensive. "Thank you for your work," he said calmly. "Let's review it together and adjust what's needed." The teammate blinked, expecting a shout, but Ethan only nodded and smiled. Relief washed over the room, and even Ethan felt lighter. That night, at home, a similar challenge awaited. Sarah and Lily were arguing about weekend plans. Ethan felt old impulses stir. His mind raced with objections, protests, frustration, but he paused. "Ma," one deep breath. He observed the situation clearly. "Wabishabi, life wasn't perfect. Disagreement didn't have to be war." "I see your points," he said, his voice steady. "How about we compromise? One day at the park, one day at the museum?" Lily's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," Ethan said. "We'll make it work." For the first time in weeks, the house felt calm. Sarah smiled, a mix of relief and pride. Ethan even caught himself laughing softly at Lily's delighted squeal. By the end of the first week, Ethan felt a subtle shift. He wasn't perfect. He still struggled when frustration bubbled up unexpectedly. But for the first time, he had a tool, a method, a way to create space between his thoughts and his actions. He could see the gap, and in that space, he could choose. And for the first time, he began to believe that maybe, just maybe, he could truly change. Weeks passed, and Ethan's life began to shift in subtle but unmistakable ways. School was no longer a battlefield where every conversation threatened to erupt into conflict. His friends noticed the change, too. During a group science presentation, a classmate accidentally knocked over part of the experiment, and the old Ethan would have exploded, shouting and blaming. Instead, Ethan took a slow, deliberate breath. "Ma," he observed the situation with Mushin, letting the initial surge of frustration pass. Then, he remembered Wabishabi. Imperfection is natural. Life isn't a flawless machine, accidents happen. "Don't worry," he said calmly, smiling at the student. "Let's reset this part and try again." The classmate blinked, astonished. Relief washed over the group, and Ethan felt a warm surge of satisfaction, not pride, but the quiet contentment that comes from acting with awareness. At home, the transformation was equally profound. Lily, his younger sister, approached him one evening while he was finishing homework. "Ethan, you're different," she said softly. "You don't yell at Mom or me as much." Ethan looked up and smiled. "I'm trying," he said honestly. "I still mess up sometimes, but I'm learning to pause first." Lily grinned, bouncing away with a small giggle, leaving Ethan to feel something he hadn't in months: peace. The real test came unexpectedly. Ethan's school was hosting an advanced project competition, and tensions ran high. His team was struggling to integrate different ideas. Deadlines loomed, and arguments flared. The pressure that would have sent old Ethan into a rage now met a different response. He closed his eyes for a moment, practicing Mushin, observing the flood of thoughts without judgment. He took a deep breath, "Ma," and recognized Wabishabi, accepting that mistakes and disagreements were part of reality. When a teammate snapped at him for a small oversight, Ethan calmly redirected, "I understand your frustration. Let's figure out how to fix it together." Time seemed to slow as the team worked in harmony. What had once been a recipe for disaster became a symphony of collaboration. They finished the project on time, presenting confidently to teachers and peers alike. Ethan's team received praise, not just for their work but for the calm, effective leadership he displayed. Later that afternoon, Ethan returned to the cafe where he first met Mr. Takeda. The older man was already there, quietly observing the world, the same calm presence that had captivated Ethan weeks ago. "You look different," Takeda said, smiling. "I am different," Ethan replied. A deep sense of confidence filled him, not arrogance, but certainty in the power of awareness. "I understand now. Self-control isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about creating space to choose how to respond. It's about seeing reality as it is, not as I think it should be." Takeda nodded. "Yes, life will test you over and over. You will be challenged, disappointed, and frustrated, but if you remember Mushin, Ma, and Wabishabi, you will always have the space to act consciously instead of reacting blindly. That is the real mastery." Ethan looked out at the busy street. Students rushing to class, parents carrying groceries, the unpredictable world moving without pause. And for the first time, he didn't feel the need to control it. He simply observed, present, and calm. When he returned home, Sarah and Lily were in the living room. Lily looked up from her drawing. "Ethan, who's that man you keep talking about?" "He's my teacher," Ethan said, kneeling beside her. "He taught me how to be a better brother, a better son, a better person." Sarah smiled, pride shining in her eyes. "I can see it," she said softly. "I can really see it." Ethan felt a quiet warmth spread through him. He was not perfect, but he had learned to navigate the world without letting impulsive anger control him. He had discovered that true strength lies not in domination, but in patience, awareness, and acceptance. He glanced at the golden repaired vase on his desk, a reminder of Wabishabi. The cracks in life, the imperfections, were not weaknesses to fight against. They were opportunities to practice calm, conscious choice. Ethan Carter had begun as a boy ruled by emotion. He ended as a young man who had learned the samurai method of self-control, not for combat, not for victory over others, but for mastery over himself.